Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today we're doing a VCT EMEA season preview for the team BBL Esports. BBL Esports is a team out of Turkey, not related to the Brazilian butt lift that you may be thinking of when you hear BBL. They were a team in the VCT EMEA last year, and they didn't really have very good placements. They fell into irrelevancy pretty quickly. Starting off with Lock-in, they lost their only match, 17th to 32nd placement. EMEA regular season, they placed 7th. They just couldn't really get a lot going. They looked pretty mediocre, and they ended up missing the playoffs. Then in the LCQ, a little bit better, 5th to 6th placement, but still not a huge impact. They end the year being one of the more irrelevant teams in the entire VCT. So the org obviously wanting to improve the roster, improve these mediocre results from last year, but they still wanted to keep the roster Turkish. Players out include AIM DLL, who was inactive during points during the season, Sushni, and Turco. Players in include Para, Elite, Rezi, all three players coming from the Turkish VCL, so the Tier 2 system in Turkey, and Loris being their extra player. Championships won by the org R0, and for their 2023 MVP, I chose Quintinurx. I don't know if that's how you say his name, but that's how I'm going to say it. He has the best stats out of the players, and he was one of the 2 players that stayed on this org. So looking at the stats from all these players, some of them playing in the VCT in Quintinurx and Brave, while the rest playing in the Tier 2 system in Turkey. Starting with Quintinurx, 511 kills, 455 deaths, 100 assists for key ratio of 1.12. He mainly stuck with duelists with a little bit of smokes in there, playing Jet, Raze, Omen, and Yoru. So from his stats, with his team not being the greatest, having a 1.12 KD ratio is pretty impressive, and Quintinurx is most likely staying on that duelist role. Can he stack up against the other top duelists in the EMEA? This should be a good year for him to prove it. Moving on to Brave, 395 kills, 434 deaths, 213 assists for KD ratio of 0.91. He played Smokes on this team last year, playing Astra, Omen, and Viper. Not bad stats for Smokes player, especially on a team that didn't really go very far, so Brave should hopefully continue to be that serviceable Smokes player. So we'll see if he can find some improved play on a roster that looks pretty different. Moving on to their new additions, starting with probably their best one in Elite. In the Tier 2 system in Turkey, his team did not make it to the Ascension tournament in the EMEA, but if he did make it, he probably would have made some waves, because in that Turkey Tier 2 system, he had 1,039 kills, 753 deaths, 197 assists for key ratio of 1.37, mainly playing Sentinel with Killjoy and Cypher, but also playing Skye and Viper during the season. He seems to really like that Killjoy, Cypher, Viper combo of characters for him. He's been playing those characters during the offseason as well. Cypher is very strong right now in the meta, and he had some very, very good stats playing the Sentinel character, which typically, you can see some good KD ratios, but a 1.37 is very impressive. But at the same time, it was against competition that is not going to be at the same level as we see in Tier 1. But if he can even kind of match the stats last year, bring that experience into Tier 1, then it should be a good pickup for them. Moving on to Para, who will be the IGL of this team now. In Tier 2, he had 969 kills, 1,008 deaths, 283 assists for key ratio of 0.96. Also playing Sentinel, playing Killjoy, Cypher, and Sage. He's been playing Initiator during the offseason, so decent chance we see him stay on that role for most of the season, but I wouldn't be surprised that if they want to play a double Sentinel comp, that they have him be that second player. He seems like the best fit for that, and hopefully he is an improvement on the IGL that they had last year, because clearly something really wasn't right there. His stats are okay, so he doesn't seem like a player that is really fit to dominate maps or anything, but as long as he can bring good leadership, then it should be a decent pickup. Moving on to Rezi, I hate gamer tags, 1,027 kills, 973 deaths, 496 assists for key ratio of 1.05. He played Initiator last year, playing Sova, KO, Fade, and Skye. Decent stats for that role, decent KD ratio at the Tier 2 level, but nothing overly exciting, but still a solid amount of kills for him, so he'll probably be that main Initiator player for this roster. Overall, the roster doesn't look bad. It definitely looks like they have some more firepower from last year, but at the same time, I don't know how this roster is going to stack up against the other top teams in EMEA. I don't know if I see them getting into the top 5, potentially top 6, and potentially, having decent runs during the EMEA playoffs. Sure, but I don't know if I see them making kickoff or qualifying for an international tournament. No offense to the Turkish scene, there are some very good players in Turkey, such as CNED and, all of Foot Esports, so maybe BBL can be as good as Foot and be the top Turkish team. They did beat Foot in a show match this offseason, so, it's a show match. They were playing some wacky comp, so I wouldn't get too ahead of ourselves there. But I do see this team struggling to find its footing right out the gate. They've had a decent offseason so far, so maybe they surprise some people, but I'm not going to have too high expectations for them, but I do hope that I'm wrong. Looking at their maps from last year, they had a map that they were really good on in Ascent, 5-1 record, only losing once during the entire year. Attack was 57%, defense was 65%. Haven, not so much, 3-3 record, so they were even on it. Attack was 50%, defense was 44%. Worst maps, however, they were bad. They had some really rough maps for them, starting with Split, 0-4 record. Attack was 53%, so decent, but a very bad defense win record, 31%. Pearl also never won on, 0-3 record. Attack was an abysmal 14%, and defense was also an abysmal 29%. So they didn't have very good maps last year. They didn't really have good strategies for most of them. They had one map that they were very good on in Ascent, but it means that this team was very easy to counterpick because you just ban Ascent and you can play pretty much any other map and you're probably going to win. So they have to avoid that to be a good and relevant team this year, and I think that should be the goal, is be a team that is relevant. I don't think many people are going to be picking this team to win an international or even qualify for one. So why not play like you have nothing to prove and just play to win your personal victories? Just play to improve your play, to surprise people, to play that spoiler role where top teams will come into a match against you expecting to just, have you just roll over and they can just do whatever they want. Just prove that you can be a hard-working, hard-nosed team, and maybe this team can get somewhere. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think BBL are going to surprise people and be a dark horse team to qualify for international events, or do you think that they're going to have a similar year to last year where they stay in the irrelevancy category in the European League? Please click like if you enjoyed the video. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.